Okay, so here's a wild thought. What if an AI just scored better than, like, 99% of PhD students?
Uh-huh.
But, like, in every single subject.
Every subject.
You mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean everything. Not just,
Uh-huh.
the usual suspects like tech or math. We're talking literature, organic chemistry, advanced physics, even really nuanced stuff like Hebrew linguistics,
Wow.
things that take actual humans
Nice.
decades, right? Decades of dedicated study to really get to that postgraduate level.
Right, deep expertise.
And this AI, Grok 4 from XAI, it just showed this incredible ability across all of them, pretty much at the same time.
It just dropped, what, 3 days ago?
Yeah, exactly. And the implications of that kind of general academic power are, well, they're huge. Okay, let's try and unpack this.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, this isn't just, a small step forward. It's not just an incremental improvement in how well AIs perform.
Right.
What we seem to be looking at here is a fundamental shift, a real change in the whole landscape of artificial intelligence.
Wow.
Well, we're moving past algorithms that are just smart or really good in one specific area. We seem to be entering a new phase where AI shows this breadth of understanding, this problem-solving ability that kind of starts to redefine what intelligence even means for a computer.
Okay.
So, our goal for you today, listening in, is to really get why people are already calling this an intelligence big bang.
An intelligence big bang. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So to really get a handle on what Grok 4 pulled off, we need to talk about this benchmark first. It's called Humanity's Last Exam, HLE.
That's quite a name.
Very dramatic official name. And look, this is not your average online quiz. It's this really carefully put together collection of 2,500 PhD level problems.
2,500.
Wow. Handpicked by actual subject matter experts.
Yeah.
From the real deep ends of math, natural sciences, engineering, the humanities.
So the really tough stuff.
Oh, unbelievably tough. So complex, so layered that most older AI models, they scored single digits.
Single digits. Okay.
And humans. I mean, maybe on a really good day, if they happen to be a world expert in that one tiny niche, maybe 5%.
If they were lucky.
Exactly.
Uh.
Just to give you a feel for the kind of intellectual mountains these problems are, think about something like natural transformations in category theory.
Okay, that sounds abstract.
It's super abstract math, trying to link different mathematical
Yeah.
ideas, needs deep conceptual thinking, or electrocyclic reactions in organic chemistry.
Right, understanding how molecules change at a quantum level.
Exactly. Or even something like distinguishing Hebrew syllable structures. That needs incredible linguistic nuance, historical context, grammar rule.
Yeah, stuff you really can't just Google. You need actual reasoning.
I need expertise.
And that's where Grok 4 just, well, blows the doors off on these HLE problems with no tools, just its own internal logic.
Just thinking.
Just thinking. It solved a pretty amazing 25% of them.
A quarter. Just like that.
Yeah. But here's where it gets really interesting, showing how adaptable it is. When they gave it tools, search, calculators, access to research papers.
The stuff a real researcher would use.
Exactly. That score jumped to over 40%. So it can reason, and it knows how to use external help effectively.
Okay. 40% is impressive.
Ugh.
But you said there was more.
Oh, yeah. The really mind-bending part, the thing that kind of hints at a whole new way AI could work, is what happened when they let multiple Grok agents team up.
Multiple AIs working together.
Yeah, like a digital study group. Each agent brought its own perspective, its own insights. When they collaborated like that, they broke 50% on humanity's last exam.
Over half.
Over half. Think about that. Consistent PhD level performance across all these different academic fields all at once.
It's like having a perfectly synced team of experts from every single
Yeah.
department, physics, history, math, everything working together.
Precisely. It's not just a smarter AI. It feels like a blueprint for, I don't know, distributed intelligence.
Distributed intelligence.
Uh-huh. And what jumps out right away is that this level of performance, it's way beyond just being a smart student.
Right.
They mentioned in the demo, Grok would get perfect SAT scores every time on questions it had never seen.
Wow.
And at the graduate level, it wasn't just good in a few areas. It showed near perfect results across the whole range of subjects they threw at it.
So not just a specialist.
Exactly. This feels academically superhuman. And that forces you to ask, right, what does it actually mean when an AI doesn't just match human ability, but clearly surpasses it? Not in one narrow skill, but across the whole huge, messy map of human knowledge.
It kind of breaks our measuring sticks for intelligence.
It really does. It forces a rethink.
Okay. Now, let's talk about something that honestly sounds like pure sci-fi, but it's actually happening. This idea of AI agents working together.
Ah,
cooperating.
right, the multi-agent approach.
Yeah, that's the core of what they're calling Grok 4 heavy. It's
Mhm.
not just one big AI brain. It's multiple Grok agents, like separate instances of the model running side by side.
Mm.
They all tackle the same complex problem, but kind of independently at first. Then they share what they found, compare notes, and build on each other's work.
So like a collaborative team.
Exactly. Imagine you give Grok 4 heavy a really tricky, multi-layered problem.
Mm.
It then sort of spawns several agents, say 5, like in the demos.
Okay.
Each one gets the same problem, but maybe they approach it differently. One does the math, another looks at history, a third thinks about practical uses.
Different angles.
Right. And they work on their own paths. But, and this is key, they're constantly comparing notes, checking each other's progress.
It's not just voting then.
No, it's dynamic. Often, one agent will hit on that key insight, that breakthrough idea that cracks the whole thing open.
Ah, the aha moment.
Exactly. And as soon as that happens, it shares that piece with the others, they integrate it, and boom, the whole group accelerates towards the solution.
And the real-world results of this distributed intelligence are pretty staggering. We saw some clear examples.
Yeah, like what?
Well, take analyzing complex World Series odds. That's something that usually takes a human analyst hours, maybe days, right? Digging through data, calculating.
For sure.
Grok 4, in this multi-agent setup, did it in about 4.5 minutes of compute time.
4.5 minutes.
Yeah. And it wasn't just crunching numbers, it was actively browsing betting websites, looking for market inefficiencies, identifying potential value bets.
So actual strategic analysis, not just calculation.
That's the critical point. It's not just faster math. It's like having multiple superhuman minds collaborating efficiently in real time, pooling their different strengths.
That's powerful. And you mentioned another example, something about physics.
Right. The black hole collision analysis, that was striking. It didn't just understand the math. It generated a scientifically accurate visualization.
A picture.
Yeah, a visualization. And it even explained the simplifications it made for the visual. Plus, it referenced undergrad physics texts pulled in real-world gravitational wave data.
All within a web browser.
All within a standard browser. It grasped the equations, the physics concepts, the limits of our observations, and how to communicate it clearly. That kind of comprehensive cross-topic synthesis. That's what makes this multi-agent thing so impactful.
Wow.
Which really raises a big question, doesn't it? How do we, human teams even start to compete with that kind of coordinated cross-disciplinary smarts?
Yeah.
When you have multiple AI minds, each already superhuman in its own area, working together seamlessly, sharing insights instantly, the potential for speeding up discovery, for solving problems, it's almost hard to grasp.
It's not just smarter, it's the synergy.
Exactly. They multiply each other's abilities. They can unlock solutions that maybe no single AI or even human could find easily on their own. This is where that intelligence Big Bang idea starts to feel very real.
Okay, so enough benchmarks and theory for a moment. Let's ground this. What does Grok 4 actually mean for the real world, like today?
Right. Practical applications.
They tested it in something called Vending Bench. Sounds mundane, but it's basically a detailed, long-running simulation of managing a vending machine business.
Okay, like a business sim game.
Kind of, but super complex. It's not static. You have to manage inventory dynamically, talk to simulated suppliers, set prices based on changing demand, make strategic calls over long periods.
Real business decisions.
Exactly. And Grok 4 didn't just do well, it crushed it. It doubled the net worth of the next best model.
Doubled it. How?
What was significant was that it formed a coherent, long-term strategy and stuck to it, adapting as needed. That's a big deal because AIs historically haven't been great at long-term planning and flexible decision-making.
Right, they can get stuck in short-term loops. So handling that dynamic long-term thinking, that's useful way beyond vending machines.
Absolutely.
And that connects to what Elon Musk was emphasizing, right? The real test isn't just acing academic questions, it's reality.
Yeah, can it actually do things?
Can it design a rocket that gets to orbit? Can it find a new medicine that actually works in people?
High stakes.
Very. And he actually predicted that within the next year, maybe even sooner, Grok could start discovering genuinely useful new tech, new solutions.
So moving from answering questions to actually inventing stuff.
Exactly. That's the leap. And it makes you wonder, what happens to whole industries when AI can innovate faster than human R&D teams?
That's a big question. And it sounds like it's already starting. You mentioned industry applications.
Yeah, the demo showed some really impressive stuff happening right now, like the ARC Institute. They do biomedical research.
Hmm.
They're using Grok 4 to scan millions of experiment logs, find subtle patterns, and generate promising research ideas in seconds.
Millions of logs in
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah, or in healthcare, it's apparently the best model out there right now for looking at complex chest x-rays, finding potential issues with amazing accuracy,
Wow. And finance.
becoming a go-to tool for real-time market analysis, strategic trading. It's being adopted really quickly there.
Okay, so big research, healthcare, finance.
Uh,
But what about like smaller scale
Mm.
individuals?
Great question. And that leads to maybe one of the most interesting parts, the creative side and how it empowers individuals.
Like the game developer.
Exactly. Denny, in the demo, he built a whole first-person shooter game, playable, in 4 hours, using Grok 4.
3 hours for a whole game.
And not just the basic code. Grok helped find all the assets, textures, sounds, everything needed to make it look and feel like a real game.
That's incredible.
It's not just automating tasks, it's accelerating the whole creative process. Think about a single person or a tiny team basically running a whole creative studio because the AI handles the time-consuming, expensive stuff.
It lowers the barrier to creating complex things.
Massively. It fundamentally changes who can build what.
Okay, so that's, yeah.
And that really points to this broader shift, doesn't it? Democratizing high-level problem-solving, high-level creation.
Making powerful tools available to everyone.
Pretty much. Capabilities that used to need huge, specialized teams are now potentially accessible to individuals. It's like augmenting human ability on a whole new level. And when you tie that back to Elon Musk's bigger picture thoughts, it feels like we're entering a time where AI isn't just helping us think, it's actively driving innovation in ways we're just starting to figure out.
Which leads to the question, how do we manage that? How do we use it well?
That's the multi-trillion-dollar question, isn't it?
Okay, let's zoom out even further now. Think about the really big picture implications for, well, humanity. Elon Musk brought this up too.
The Kardashev scale.
Yeah, the Kardashev scale. Fascinating idea, right? Measuring a civilization by its energy use. Type 1 uses all its planet's energy. Type 2 its star. Type 3 its galaxy.
And where are we now?
Pretty humbling, actually. Maybe 1 or 2% of Type 1.
Just getting started.
Barely. But Musk's prediction, fueled by advanced AI like Grok 4, is that we could accelerate incredibly fast. Reach maybe 80–90% of Type 1, maybe even push towards Type 2 within our lifetime.
It's a civilization-level transformation, powered by intelligence itself.
Exactly. But here's the part that's both amazing and, honestly, a bit unsettling.
Mm.
The speed. The sheer pace of improvement.
It does feel fast.
Unbelievably fast. Grok 2 was just an idea, basically, 12 months ago. Now we have Grok 4, trained on data that's 100 times bigger and more complex.
100 times in 1 year.
Yeah. And they're not slowing down. They're already training version 7, which is supposed to have way better vision video understanding.
Yeah.
And they're planning to start training a video generation model using, okay, get this, over 100,000 GPUs, starting like next month.
100,000 GPUs. The scale of compute is just astronomical.
That is that exponential curve we talk about.
Yeah.
It's not theory anymore. We're living it daily.
And maybe the most profound indicator of this speed is that the question really isn't if AI will surpass human intelligence anymore. It's just how quickly will it happen across every area.
Right.
They're literally saying they're running out of hard enough test questions.
They can't challenge it anymore with standard tests.
Apparently not sufficiently, which implies the only real test left is reality itself.
Can it invent new things?
Mm.
Discover new science?
Exactly. Can it find new laws of physics? Can it solve problems we don't even know how to ask properly yet?
Wow.
We're getting really close to a point where AI doesn't just help human creativity, but actively, independently, and maybe profoundly goes beyond it.
That's a lot to
Yeah.
take in. Elon admitted during the demo sometimes feeling, contemplative, maybe even worried about creating something so much smarter than us.
Understandable.
But then he said something that really stuck with me. He said, even if it wasn't going to be good, I'd at least like to be alive to see it happen.
Huh. That's quite a perspective. Acceptance of the scale of change.
Yeah, I think so. It kind of frames the moment, right? We are actually living through, maybe witnessing, the most important tech development in human history. And it's happening way faster than almost anyone predicted.
Yeah, no question.
So if you're listening and feeling this mix of, I don't know, excitement, maybe awe, maybe a bit of anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
just know you're definitely not alone.
It's a normal reaction.
This tech is moving so fast, it's hard to fully wrap your head around the
Yeah.
implications. But here's a challenge for you. Don't just sit back and watch.
Engage with it.
Yeah. As we dive into this new era, what's your biggest worry about AI this powerful? And what's your biggest hope? And maybe more practically, are you already thinking about how you could actually use tools like this in your work, your business, your learning?
Good questions to ponder.
And hey, if you know someone who still thinks AIs is just like a fancy chatbot writing poems,
Yeah,
please share this deep dive with them. Seriously, they need to get the real picture of what's actually happening right now, today.
definitely. So just to quickly wrap up the core points from today's deep dive, we're seeing AI solve PhD-level problems across basically all fields.
Right.
We're seeing these AIs coordinate themselves, creating these new forms of distributed intelligence that can do things far beyond what a single AI could.
The multi-agent thing.
Yeah, and crucially, this isn't future tech anymore. Grok 4 is already creating real value today in science and creative work, in business.
It's available now.
It's available now. You can go and explore what this kind of superhuman collaborative intelligence feels like. So the intelligence explosion, it's not coming. We're in it
Okay,
right now.
we're living through it.
Yeah. So the final thought for you is, how are you going to navigate this? How will you contribute to this new era of intelligence that's already here?